Hey everyone, Scotty here, and Rico and I had taken last week off after I injured myself, but I'm doing okay, and we're back, and we'll be back on schedule as well. On the podcast this week, we have Sweatpants in Public. If you listened to the last episode, you remember Garage from Nowhere talked about them, and they are a family band from New Hampshire. You got Jerry on guitar and vocals, Jake on bass, and originally they had their dad on drums. Since then, they've moved to South Florida and have been making a name for themselves in the rock reggae scene, playing covers and also killing it with originals. So be on the lookout for the new EP, and you can see their new single, Where My 40 At, on Balcony TV Miami, and you can find that on YouTube. The song on the episode today is called Stoplight, and it is from their first full-length album called Kicking Up Dirt. So make sure to go online, Facebook, or wherever, and check them out.
Today on Scotty and Rico Make a Podcast.
Rick and Morty, someone told me to watch it, and I watched the first episode, and I thought it was really stupid, and I was like, I'm not going to watch the show.
Right.
And then I went back and rewatched it later on, and I realized it was more intelligent than I gave it credit for.
It's amazing, yeah. Just because it's cartoon doesn't mean it's for kids, man. The whole time you're like laughing along with them, haha, it's so dumb. But at the end, they make you feel like an ass for laughing about it.
This guy wants me to eat his ass for a bag of coffee.
This is Kangaroo Court.
We're not in Australia. All right, welcome to episode 17, where we'll be talking about cartoons.
We're talking about cartoons? Is that what we're doing?
That's right. So when I was a little kid, I used to watch cartoons such as G.I. Joe and Transformers. And then I decided that cartoons are for little kids and not for me. So I stopped watching them.
You are a fool, my friend.
Yeah. And then one day I was watching Comedy Central, and they were talking about the show that was going to come out called South Park. And I said, that looks interesting. So I started watching that, and now I'm back to cartoons.
I never stopped watching cartoons. I think I watched cartoons. I remember watching He-Man, Transformers. Then later on, I think I started to grow a little bit out of it, but then my little sister was born, so I would watch cartoons with her.
Yeah.
So I kept watching. I love Rugrats.
When you were a kid, what was some of your favorite cartoons?
Like I said, He-Man, Transformers, Thundercats.
Yeah. And
let's see what else. Then I got a little older, and I loved the Disney's Afternoon. That was my to-do. You know what that is?
No.
All right, all of you guys out there that know what Disney Afternoon is, you're probably going, I know exactly what Disney Afternoon Disney Afternoon was around like 3 o'clock when you got home from school.
Uh-huh.
You would turn on, I think it was WB back then, and then cartoons, the best cartoons would go on. Started out, I think, with DuckTales. Then it would go either the Rescue Rangers.
No, can you do the DuckTales theme songs?
Ooh. Yeah, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was the Rescue Rangers. Mm-hmm. Some crimes sometimes go slipping through the cracks, but these two gumshoes. I could do the whole thing, so I'm not going to go for it.
No, I know these cartoons, but I never
then
really
it was Darkwing Duck.
Mm-hmm.
Darkwing Duck. And then what else? Tailspin.
Oh,
Tailspin.
Yeah.
I love Tailspin. Then it would be Gargoyles, I think.
Uh-huh.
Goof Troop.
What's that one?
It was a Goofy with his son.
Oh, okay.
It was one of my favorite, Goof Troop.
Uh-huh.
And then it was Gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think lastly, this might not be the order. This is just what I remember.
Sure, yeah.
And I think they changed it up at one point or another. But then it was Batman, the animated series, which was revolutionary. So was Gargoyles. I think those two were like...
The Gargoyles was a dark...
Yeah, just
cartoon,
like
right?
Batman. Batman and Gargoyles were really dark for their time. They were like the first more adult kind of theme. Like Batman was really, really dark, where it was like a lot of the villains, you felt bad for the villains. You felt like you were like, man, no wonder they're so messed up.
Wow,
they always had like a backstory. Even the Joker, like, and just like I remember Clayface, I felt really bad because Clayface was, you know, Clayface, right? Like, he's like this. He can transform into any creature, kind of thing, you know.
No,
he's a guy that's pretty much made of clay that can transform into any kind of
Okay.
Anyway, but he was an actor, and I think he was thrown into a vat of this like chemical thing to make his. Well, he was trying to get his like the chemical was to like he had a horrible car accident. He was an actor, and he needed to make his face
Look better for screen.
right? And for some reason or other, he got into it with the mafia. The mafia threw him into the vat, and that's why he became Clayface. He became a clay.
It sounds very similar to the Joker.
The Joker
or
story.
at least the one from Tim Burton's movie.
Yeah, it was similar. And it had like poetry. I remember there was this one where there was these. I don't remember the exact storyline, but there was these like mutants that were made by this doctor, kind of like the Island of Dr. Monroe. And at the end of it, it had that what is that? Robert Frost that does Tiger in the Night. Blah 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 blah.
I'm going to look it up.
You should look it up.
William Blake. So Tiger is by William Blake.
William Blake. Yeah, I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, okay. So William Blake, and it would have stuff like that. Just little tidbits of like really macabre. Is that what the word?
Yeah. So it's interesting because this is kind of where I was going with this whole podcast. It started because I just finished BoJack Horseman season whatever the latest one is.
The new one. I haven't seen the new one. I saw the first one pretty much, and it is a dark.
The whole show is dark.
Yeah, it's very depressive. He's pretty much I would say he's supposed to be like the guy from Full House. What's his name? Danny Tanner.
Oh, you talking about Bob Saget?
Bob Saget. He's supposed to be like Bob Saget in Full House.
Behind, like not behind the TV, like outside the show.
Yeah, like
right.
Because he's part of this family show and so wholesome and stuff, but he's not wholesome at all,
Right.
Like he like end up like sleeping with the youngest co-star like when she's older though.
Not only that, but he kind of contributes to her overdosing.
Oh right, she's an enabler. He's an enabler. Yeah, so yeah, it's super dark.
Dark, and this season definitely gets darker.
I haven't seen it, so don't.
I'm not going to do spoilers, but it's really good.
Yeah, I'm saying no spoilers, and I just spoiled a big part of it.
Well, no, that was last season. So
if you haven't gotten that, that's your fault.
Yeah,
and it's like Rick and Morty, right? Rick and Morty is a lot like those two.
BoJack Horseman, yeah. Well, Rick and Morty.
Horseman, yeah.
See, Rick and Morty. Someone told me to watch it, and I watched the first episode, and I thought it was really stupid, and I was like, I'm not going to watch the show.
Right.
And then I went back and rewatched it later on, and I realized it was more intelligent than I gave it credit for.
It's amazing, yeah. There's a whole episode where they go to therapy.
Yes.
And one of my good friends, she's like, that's like the best.
That's the Pickle Rick episode.
Yeah, that's the Pickle Rick. It was like like so deep, like it was like very deep.
Both those shows, there's a layer to the shows. There's a stupid
it,
humor, and then there's what they're trying to create.
I don't even find the show to be that dumb. I find a lot of the people that follow it like to act dumb. You know what I mean? Like where they're like Pickle Rick and yell it out, like kind of like Dave Chappelle's "I'm Rick James."
Yeah.
Like where they act in a way that it's like, why? Like
when South Park first came out, and I realized right away this is not a kids show.
Right.
But then I would be out and I would hear little kids saying things like "cheesy poofs,"
right,
or something from the show. It's like, whoa, you let your little kid watch that show? Because I mean, I
wouldn't let my kid watch it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like at least till like they're like 15, 16.
Unsupervised, anyways.
Right. That's definitely you shouldn't be letting your kids watch.
Right. So for me,
and Rick and Morty too, man. Rick and Morty is not a kids show.
No.
And
BoJack
Horseman is not a kids show.
Nope.
Just because it's cartoon doesn't mean it's for kids, man.
Yeah, I mean there are cartoons meant for adults that kids can watch it. One of that,
like Shrek.
Shrek a cartoon?
Shrek's animation, I guess. Yeah. Shrek.
Oh yeah. That's true, and that's an interesting one because with Shrek, that one it has adult humor in it. That was like you have to be an adult to really appreciate that.
Right.
Humor.
You would have to get the gist of it. You would have to know it. Same thing with SpongeBob. SpongeBob throws some like. Yeah. Some stuff in there. Did you ever see that episode? Did I talk about this already? I love this little episode where he's standing in front of the TV, like with all bug-eyed, like looking like intently at the TV, and you hear this like 70s music in the background, like bow chicka bow, and he's like all like looking at the TV, And all of a sudden they point at the TV and it's an anemone. You know, like those sea creatures.
Yeah.
They, like, you know how they move in the
Yeah,
ocean?
yeah.
They move
They
around like
sway back and forth.
Yeah, like it's dancing, and he's like looking at it with like bam, chicken, bam, like and all of a sudden Gary, you know, the snail, his pet comes in, and he goes, oh, Gary, and he like switches his channel real quick, and he's like, I was looking for the sports channel.
Yeah.
So that is not meant for kids. That joke's for us.
That's right. Ren and Stimpy, they did that as well. They would have some stuff in there. I remember there was one where Ren was saying to Stimpy, I'm the pitcher, you're the catcher. I'm the pitcher, you're the catcher.
Right, yeah. That one, I don't know if I would have let my kids watch Ren and Stimpy. Well, I found it a little too much.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I found it. I liked it. It was just, I don't think it was for kids. And they showed it, like Rocko's Modern Life, too. Like, remember that?
Yeah.
It was like stuff that was like a little over the top, I thought. Like in the nasty department. And like,
I think with Ren and Stimpy, a kid could watch it. I mean, it was a bit grotesque because it had a lot of, like, they would zoom in until like their teeth.
That's what I mean, like the grotesque part and also the intensity of them. Like if you have a kid like acting like that, you know, like you're gonna have a plate full. Like, you know,
that's true.
So you don't really want them, like kids will absorb everything like a sponge, you know, like they'll emulate everything that they see, like imitate.
Well,
whatever.
If you remember Beavis and Butthead, where they couldn't even say the word fire because some kid was watching Beavis and Butthead and he set his sister on fire.
Right. And Beavis and Butthead too. I don't think that was a kid's show. I mean, it was a teenager show, but it wasn't a kid's show. You know, like not little kids.
Yeah, I was excited to actually watch that one. Actually, I said about South Park, but in reality, Beavis and Butthead was one that I did watch religiously.
Oh yeah, like from the younger.
Yeah, well, that one came out about 92.
One that I really liked from that era, it was Daria. Came a little later.
Well, Daria came from Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. She was a character, right?
Yes.
I love Daria. That was one of my favorite shows I would watch religiously.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I had a crush on Jane.
I never watched Daria.
Jane Lane. Oh, you never saw it?
No, I didn't watch it.
It was really funny. Oh, you know what I was thinking the other day too was I love the little snippet Daria. There was always a little thing in the background whenever they were watching TV. It was like, today on Six Ad World, Florida man stabs himself in the eye thinking he needed, like, you know, some stupid thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and but they always had one in the background, like, and it was like, that's a lot like what the news sounds like today. You know, like, back then it was supposed to be, you know, a joke.
It was, yeah.
And now that's what the news really do sound like.
It's art imitates life,
right,
or now life imitates art.
Right.
I don't know.
The other one that I watched since I was a kid, I was allowed to watch this, but I was told to be very mindful of it. Like my dad was like, "I'll let you watch it, but this is, you know, it was The Simpsons."
Oh, really? Like that was the one you have to be wary
Yeah,
of?
because I mean, in Chile, I was 6 years old, and The Simpsons Bart would do some pretty.
Did you ever tell your dad, "Eat my shorts, dude"?
Eat my shorts, dude. Yeah, no, so he was like, this one's might be not, like, you know, don't imitate. Like, I was like, okay, all right. But he let me watch it, The Simpsons, because he wouldn't let me watch, like, really gory stuff. My dad was very good at, and I say that now, I'm like, you know, I wasn't allowed to, like, play, like, gory video games or anything like that, like Mortal Kombat, or even, I think, anything that had gore in it, I wasn't allowed to.
I was talking about today with my nephews.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play Duke Nukem and Doom and Wolfenstein when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to watch pretty much whatever I wanted.
Right. And that's why you're like this.
That's why. Yeah, that's why you're more successful than I am.
This is why you're this violent person.
Yeah.
Obviously, and you like Marilyn Manson, so obviously that's.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't connect the dots, but it makes a lot of sense.
There you go.
Well, so when I was a youth, my cartoons were Transformers, G.I. Joe. I had all the toys from those two. Mask was another one where it was about these people that drove these vehicles that would transform into another vehicle. Right. I guess whatever show had a
Turtles.
toy.
Did you like the Ninja Turtles?
I watched Ninja Turtles some, but I wasn't like a huge fan.
Man, I love Ninja Turtles. You know what was one of my favorite memories in Chile was it would come on every Friday for some time, and every Friday my dad and my mom would make pizza. And I would watch Ninja Turtles eating pizza. So it was like...
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was like eating pizza, watching the Ninja Turtles. That was like the highlight of my life at that time.
Which Ninja Turtle did you relate to the most?
I did not... I don't know if I related to it, but I really like Raphael. I like...
That's the one with the purple?
No, that's Red Man. Man, you don't know.
I had a
your
1
Ninja
in 4
Turtles?
chance.
You don't know your Ninja Turtles.
This is
man.
why you do the trivia answering and I do the questions.
No, I
know
see.
nothing.
I see. Raphael's the red with the sai. The forks.
Yes, I was thinking with the fork size, but I just couldn't get the colors.
Oh,
Okay, so
Don